welcome! Welcome everyone to a very special semi-early Sunday live stream. Hi Amy! You were just watching my latest Colossus video. Oh, that's right, it uploaded. Today's the 1st. That's right, I always have a video upload on the 1st. I think I might have another Colossus video up on the 15th, if all goes according to plan. Hey, so check out what we were working on last time. I applied all the rust. I'm really digging it. It's looking good and rusty. And I feel like you can, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, but it doesn't detract from the sculpture itself, which is pretty important when you've worked for hundreds of hours on a sculpture and then molding and casting it. So, yay, something worked. Linda, hello Linda. So, let's move on to number 2, I guess. This is what I want to work on today. Which I didn't have a ton of inspiration for, except I cast it in this translucent resin, and I've always wanted to do something with this hunk of junk that I've had sitting in my garage for like 15 years. Probably moved it 5 or 6 times. As in, I would move and then pack it with me. So now is the time. Used to be a clock, very ugly clock. So whoever did this piece, the coating, just did a really bad job. It's got all these imperfections and bubbles and voids. And over time it's aged and cracked, but I feel like that works perfect for what I'm trying to do here. So last night it finally struck me the kind of aesthetic I want to go for with this. I mean, I had the idea of doing like a sap sort of thing for a while, but then it occurred to me, hey, you know what's cool about sap, besides being sticky and gross, is it gets bugs stuck in it. So I got all this reference, and one of the cool things about sap is that it usually gets all these little gross bits in it, and bugs, and just anything else in nature that it happens to roll over, which gives it an interesting textural quality, because it's got a cool contrast where it's got the, shiny, delicious honey look, but at the same time it's corrupted with all this gross stuff in it. So I feel like that's a cool kind of theme to build off of here. And also, look at this piece of sap that I found. Imagine if I had a camera that would focus like it used to. Gosh, every time I do a stream, I'm like, I need to look up why my camera has decided not to focus anymore. And then every time I forget afterwards. Anyway, let's look at it down here. So you can see there's these cracks, it's dried and cracked, exactly like the resin on this thing did. So that's pretty cool. And since there's all these cool close-up pictures, I can see that it's got lots of bubbles and gunk and stuff in it. Yeah, and I was like, what kind of insects should we have trapped in it? Why, the grossest kinds, of course. So I got some reference of various types of centipedes. When I think of the animal I want to crawl on me the very least, it's these things. was sitting in the back, so it got a bunch of dust all over it. Yeah, so I think what I'm hoping to accomplish is I would love to make some type of gross centipede. I think if I make a mold, like I can make a quick master, because they're fairly simple, right? It's just blobs with these gross little legs sticking out for the most part. It's just like a string of beads almost. So I could make that, do a push mold that sets up in just a couple minutes, and then push clay or epoxy or other kind of stuff into it, pull it out, and then pose it while it's still wet, and then I can put little centipedes crawling all over this guy. I was also thinking, and this might be taking a bridge too far, I was also thinking of doing something like this. You guys tell me if you think this is a bridge too far. Well, not blue, but if I got a nice amber light, I thought it'd be cool to have it backlit since, you know, it's translucent. You could take advantage of that fact. I was thinking of actually like cutting into the wood behind it so it's got some depth to it. I feel like I'm almost sure that I have different colored lights. Where are those? Oh, I think I know. One moment. Got these crazy LED setups that are like programmable, I believe. Yeah, look at all those colors. Because I'm going to be doing like a Tetris bookshelf set, and I wanted the edges to glow, so I've been experimenting with different types of LEDs that can do that. These ones are kind of the primo version, because they're programmable, and the important thing is you can plug them in. Like, the idea of using LEDs with batteries just seems pointless, because when are you ever going to turn that on if you know they're going to run out? My answer is never. Oh, there we go. Oh, look, it's already the right color. Okay. Let's get rid of these blue guys. That's actually pretty cool. Let me play with some lights to see if I can make that look better for you guys. It's looking more kind of reddish on your end, but on mine it's a sickly yellow. That's pretty cool. And if they're back further, they refract through the surface in more interesting ways. That's why I'm thinking if I carve into the wood, I can inset these. And because they're plug-in, they will not run out of batteries. And I'm a fan of not running out of batteries. Okay. Can I turn it off? Yes. Okay. So since I like that direction of lighting, I have to plan this thing based on carving into the wood, which means I'm going to need to kind of finalize where I want the head to go and trace it in some way. It's kind of tricky because there's no way to actually fit it on where it's not going to come off of the surface at some point, so that needs to play into the design. I'm just not sure exactly how I want that to work. Like, I can make it not hang off the edge if I put it on kind of awkwardly like that, but I don't know if that's a good composition. I feel like it's not. Onassis, hey! Hook up to the back of my TV. Oh, I missed other stuff. Sorry. I've been in my conceptual reverie. Stefan, hello. Kalia, howdy. Amy says, any Halloween plans? Gonna do Inktober this year. Just make myself do some art every day. That's cool. Onassis says, what's up? And says he has the same LED lights. Okay, those are what's hooked up behind your TV. Cool. Amy is limiting the amount of homework procrastinated and have to do today. Onassis is working on another sculpture of a small little troll that he made up. Cool. Amy says, yeah, I convinced myself in March I'll be okay, and then it's September and I'm swamped with homework. Less than it was last year. Wow, last year must have been intense. All right. I don't know, what do you guys think? Does the wood being in this orientation look weird or dumb? One interesting thing is it's got this, the remains of a clock. Yeah, you guys can see that, like those. There must have been some kind of metallic bits glued on there in the hour position. But if it's there, it's kind of like makes that design with the horns, which is interesting. And then it's got all this weird area over here. Let me get the camera back further so you can see the whole thing. Yeah, so If it's oriented like that, what is that? What is that even? Yeah, I keep kind of coming back to this orientation, which has this nice thing of following along one edge almost perfectly, this edge a little bit, but then it totally breaks it there. And maybe that's cool. Maybe it would be dumb if it followed it all the way around. I think I also played with having it this way. Amy says, the bottom of the sculpture is making a bit of a tangent with the bottom of the wood. I would move it up a bit myself. Yeah, that's definitely something I would like to avoid. Amy says, thinks the second position is better. Kalia says, that looks a lot better. Of course, since we're 20 seconds out of sync from each other, I don't know which... Oh, you know what? I'm going to do... There's a way to do this. I haven't figured out what it is yet, but I know there's a way to do this. Vanessa says that's coming out great. Maybe you're talking about this. Yeah, it's definitely not good to like stick out crazy far anywhere just because there's so much of this background. Okay, I'm gonna put it to where I think it was still best, and you guys tell me if you still think this is best. I'm gonna call this the Africa pose because it kind of looks like Africa. There's something catching this every time I try to move it. It's super annoying. Maybe it was that piece. Yeah, see, there'd be like a little Madagascar off over here, and like this is sort of kind of an Arabian Peninsula that's been tilted funny. Okay, so give me your votes for Africa. Just type Africa if you like Africa best. Okay, then I'm going to try this other one, which I'm going to call... this one the Jesus pose, because he's got like this halo over him. Okay, so we got Africa and we got Jesus, which has a tangent on the bottom, but it also has this cool weird thing going on there. Okay, let me set it up like this. Okay, there you go, Jesus. Okay, now the other completely wacky one. call this one Wacky. Okay, so we got Wacky, we got Jesus, we got Africa. Cast your votes now. Dial 1-900. Vote for Demon Hunter on Wood pose. Skolatoron says Africa pose is best. Onassis says, Josh, good thing you don't have dandruff. Oh yeah, I keep sticking my head right there. Check it out. Yeah, can you guys check me for lice? Let's see. Demi says, just jumped on here, finally caught a live broadcast. So glad you could, Demi. Troy says Africa. Amy says likes Wacky in Africa. Demi is Africa. Callus says Africa. Stefan says I like Wacky best, to be honest. Demi says and Wacky. Linda says Wacky. Oh my, this is getting out of control, you guys. Skolotron says I actually like Wacky now. Lol. Onassis says 1-900 Africa. You guys aren't making this easy on me. I do feel like no votes for Jesus at least narrows it down. Now there's 50-50. You know, you didn't share Jesus on Facebook, you're ashamed, and now you're ashamed of Jesus for this pose, so I don't know what to tell you. We're all probably going to hell. Okay, so I'll bet there's a way to do like a screenshot of this and then put it side by side with the other one. It's called having a cell phone. Let's see. Photograph. Go. Okay. There's Wacky. Now let's go back to Africa. Hand of the Light likes Wacky. Hi, Hand of the Light. Welcome. Skolotron says the chin, nose, and brow are on the left. Is that in reference to something else? Kelia says, I feel like Wacky just looks more busy. Yes. I think because it has so many other random shapes that don't follow the form of the silhouette. Onassis says it just looks like an African piece. That's why I said Africa. Oh, like the mask itself looks kind of African. Like there's some part of Africa somewhere probably has an art form that looks somewhat like that. Africa not being a single unified culture or place. Okay, let's take a picture of this. Africa. Of course, you can't focus on both, but actually not being able to focus isn't the worst thing when you're looking for general composition. Alright. Hold on. Okay. Fewer reflections on the phone now. Skolotron says, in the Wacky pose, it looked like a head. What looked like a head? The wood or the actual piece? I mean, the piece is kind of a head. It's a demon head. Kalia says, I also like the wood grain follows the horns in Africa. Yes, I also like that. I think I'm going... Yeah, okay. So the downsides to Wacky is that there's so many other competing shapes just because of the nature of the naughty wood and the different colors and stuff in there, that I think it pulls away from the piece. Whereas Africa, it's got so many elements that are the word that is the opposite of compete. Stefan says, I think Wacky highlights the mask better. Huh. Very interesting. I feel the opposite. The only thing that's weird about Africa is this horn. Okay, I need to find a place for this camera that my head doesn't constantly wander into. One moment. Okay, this way I'll just bump my head into the camera instead of going in front of it. So, yes, this part is weird. Conceptually, I feel like this is supposed to be oozing out of the tree, like gross sap growth, corruption sort of thing. Amy says, I think Wacky looks better since you're going to make it all messy. Stefan says, I think Wacky highlights mask better. Kalia says, I love the offset horn. Onassis says, 1/900 Africa it is. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Africa. It may be the wrong choice, you guys, and I just apologize up front if I made the wrong decision. Okay, so now some sort of a pin device that can make markings on a surface, such as this Sharpie. So I don't need it to be precise, I just need to generally block out where it's going to go. Oh, I still found a way to get my head in there. Wow. I just have a huge head, apparently. Stefan says, oh, if it's supposed to come out of the wood, I would go with Africa as well. Skulltron says, I changed my vote back to Africa. Excellent. This is like voting at the UN. You just got to shift the balance right, and then everyone falls in line. Okay. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside for a moment. Uno momento. And I'm going to make a centipede mold. So I just bought... Uh-oh. Where'd it go? I just bought... Here we go. Some steel stick. You can never have too much steel stick. And what am I going to do with this steel stick, you ask? I'm going to turn on some lights so you guys can see it better. Alright, I am going to make, the reason I'm using this as opposed to more sculptorly materials is because I just want it to set up really fast. It's super simple, so it shouldn't be a problem. And then I can make a mold right away. And I'm going to need some water. And you know what I never have that I always want is a cup that's like just the bottom part of this. Like really wide and open so I can just dip my fingers or brushes and stuff in. Like all my containers that are small are also narrow. I need to do a search on Amazon to see if I can find something better suited to what I'm looking for. I'm sure it exists. In the meantime, I shall use this medicine cap because it's close enough. Okay. And sculpted on some foil. Oh, let me see. So when I put this camera up here, I had great hopes that it'd be super easy to move it in and out fairly quickly. Don't know that I'm there yet, but I'm working towards it. Of course, it's just gonna do that. Let's see. And no matter how much I move it up, oh, this little handle rotates. Not cool, handle. Okay, well, all my hopes and dreams are being crushed, and we'll have to settle for something terrible instead, as usual. Wow, now I can't even get it back to how it was. Sorry guys, bear with me. Rasta, hey Rasta, saying, what are you doing here so early? Well, we usually stream our church's church service on Sunday mornings, and today the stream was just so choppy we could not hear anything. So I was like, you know what? I should just start streaming. Apparently we can upload fine. Let's see. Hand of the Light says, have you considered Petri dishes? No, I have not considered Petri dishes. Thank you for that recommendation. I shall look into it. Amy says, like a bowl. Yeah, like a bowl, but I mean this size. I haven't seen a bowl that is this size. Or a small dish. I mean, stuff that would it also needs to be disposable. Man, words are not coming to me this morning. Amy says, streaming church services is so 2017. Isn't it, though? I mean, for us, personally, we kind of have to do that because my wife is so ill that, you know, she has chronic pain, and so getting up and going to a place is a huge burden for her. It's just like, not quite worth it. She already, you know, she works at Starbucks, and that pretty much completely wipes her out. So while she likes to visit people at church socially, she just can't make that sacrifice every week. Alright, how long do I want a centipede to be? Well, this long, of course, because that's how much I ended up with. How fat do I want the centipede to be? That's the question. Kalia says, when I'm painting, I just take cups like that one and cut the top half off to hold my water. Yep, that's an option that I have thought about, and it's just annoying to have to keep cutting cups up. I think I'm going to go a little bit longer and thinner for this centipede. I could always make more. And then, I bet there's a really cool way to do, oh, I just figured it out. If I take a popsicle stick and get it wet, because, okay. I can just do this, roll it, this, roll it, this. I don't know if that's the coolest thing ever, but it's not the lamest thing ever. Although, so, stupidly, you know how I always go on in all my tutorials, I go on and on, use reference, use reference. So, I printed the reference, but now that I'm looking at this piece, look, the segment is like long there, short there, really long there, short there. So it's totally different. This one's kind of long, medium, short. This one has very, well, not very consistent, interestingly. Like, look at the distance between this plate and this plate. So it's actually inaccurate to make it evenly spaced. But I think once I start molding this guy, he's going to be formed into a you know, a shape of some sort, going to be crawling around, wiggling around, and that will definitely compress and stretch the segments and give me the variation in segment length that is realistic. So I think I'm all good. I'll be fine, you guys. Don't you worry. And then it's not just like a perfectly round little bead, it's got like some kind of shape to the edge. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of interest to it. Onassis says cuts out paper cups to use them. Yep. Halo says I prefer taller cups, works better with long brushes. I use a glass, previously peanut butter container. Stefan asks, why peanut butter? Well, I imagine if you used a Nutella glass, all your paintings would taste like hazelnuts. Is that what's in Nutella? Is that that flavor it has, hazelnut? That was a guess. Okay, so centipedes seem to have quite the variety of head shapes, and it's always hard to tell which is the head and which is the tail. I think the parts that go out more straight are the tails, and the antenna that kind of go forward are the heads. So like this is the terrifying tail, and this is the funky head. Tail, head. I'm trying to decide if I want to do the legs in this mold, or if I just want to add like wire to each one that I make. I guess it depends on how chunky I want the legs to be. Like these kind of spindly legs are the creepiest thing ever. I'm not sure exactly how I would make them. My first impulse would be to stick wire in and then, well no, it would be to bend wire to shape, stick it in. No, follow me here. It would be to bend wire to shape, use hot glue to thicken out the parts that are closer to the body, then stick it in the clay. I'm going to do a test with that, but in the meantime I shall make a head and tail bit. Or should I? If I don't make a head and tail bit, I can just cut and paste to make these as long as I want them. Oh, whether or not it has a tail, either way I can still cut it in half. You guys like hearing my real-time brainisms going on? Hopefully this makes you feel better about your real-time brainisms. Amy's not sure why she specified that, but it is since her family eats peanut butter. Stefan says, of course, paintings tasting like peanut butter seems much better. Yeah, it goes without saying. You see a nice painting in a gallery or at a museum, the first thing you do, you go and lick it, and the more it tastes like peanut butter, the higher quality the art is. And the more it's worth. Rasta says, all I know is Nutella tastes exactly like Ferrero Rocher. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that. So good, but so unhealthy. Indeed. Yeah, I like that stuff. However you pronounce that. Ferrero Rocher. What is that even? Is that Italian? Is that French? Is it German? It's not German. Could be German. I'm a pretty ignorant American. I don't know most of these things. Actually, I think I'm gonna do the tail like this super creepy guy. Because it's so creepy. Oh, I just thought of something super cool too. If I'm gonna backlight this, like I'm saying, and there's gonna be a kind of trench underneath it, I can wind these guys around the lights, so you'll see like squirmy bodies underneath the head. That'll be super disturbing, which is what I'm going for. That reminds me, when I was thinking of the aesthetic of this, the way I was going to do this piece, it reminded me of a game. If you guys like my art, you should check out the game Folklore for PS3. It has some of the best creature design and environment. It's so gorgeous and like whimsical and fanciful. And there's like super dark, creepy stuff to it too. It's like the closest game that I've seen to the movie Labyrinth, I think. But yeah, I mean, if nothing else, look at a walkthrough for Folklore for PS3. I think it might have been a launch title, or really close to launch. It still mostly holds up, the visuals. I was checking it out last night to see if I can find... Oh, the reason I bring it up also is because there's a level that has like dripping honey or sap or something like that. But the sound design and the type of level that it's juxtaposed with makes it super creepy and awesome. So I was hoping to tap into some of that creep factor. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to play with a new mold rubber that I have not tried. I don't think I've tried it before. It's a press mold. One moment. That stuff. Poyo Putty. You know what? I have used it before, and it got it. What is the word for that? That it sweats. It exudes an oil, and my understanding is that's what happens when you mix it wrong or something. But yeah, it was very, very annoying, like going back and touching any of those molds. So I'm gonna see if the same thing happens this time. Rasta's asking if Ferrero Rochers is available in the US. Yes, it is. And Rodell says Nutella and Ferrero are the same company. Well, that explains a lot, doesn't it? Onassis says, what's up with the music in the background? You sound like you're really in Africa. Yeah, this is a really fun CD. This is, Ambient Theology. Bah. Whenever I'm looking for music that I know YouTube won't tag and put a strike on my monetization, I look to all my old Christian dark wave ambient CDs. Alrighty. So this stuff is mix 20% A to 100 B. Oh, wait, okay. So there's by volume and by weight. So by volume you do 20 to 1. By weight you do 100 to 6. Okay. My understanding is it doesn't need to be exact, but maybe that's where the problem came in last time. So let's go with volume, and let's see if I can actually measure this really precisely. Which would mean I need a tiny volume cup, which I know I have a lot of somewhere. And now I'm not so sure I have any left. So if I do it by weight, I don't think I have a gram scale, because I just need a little bit. Okay, well, here's my idea now, which is, because this is such just a simple, stupid thing, this is a good time to experiment and see how flexible the material is. So I'm going to do approximately 20 to 1 by volume. Amy asks, how can ambient music be Christian, quote unquote? I mean, the band can be. How would you determine that from the music? Great question, Amy. I think it comes down to marketing, which is the evangelical subculture that I come from. they cultivate a great fear of the outside world, of the non-Christians, because they think the non-Christians are all trying to steal your souls or whatever. Well, not steal your soul, but, you know, corrupt the youth. And so they make their own movies, their own TV, their own music labels, their own books, etc., etc. Like, as much they do a mirror, like a bizarro version of everything that exists out there already. So since dark ambient music exists out in the real world, there's a market for Christians to come in and make their own version, and it's, you know, it's on a Christian label, so parents can feel okay that their kids are listening to you know, sanctified music. Doesn't make sense? Don't question it. Okay. Ooh, this stuff is much harder than I expected it to be. Actually, I'm thinking this might weigh enough to measure on my scale. Let me grab my scale real quick. Sadly, I took my gram scale to work many years ago when I was like trying to weigh all these different diet foods. Okay, cup on go. Amy asks, is this how Christian metal came to be? Yes, that is exactly how Christian metal came to be. I mean, it's, well, so it's a two-pronged process, right? There's people who happen to be Christians who also happen to like music in a genre that tends to be antagonistic to Christianity as a whole, such as the metal scene. I think I'm gonna do, so if I do 1 ounce of this 20-to-1, then will half an ounce be, or 0.1? See, that's the thing, I don't think it goes down that low. Oh, does it do grams? It does not. Drat. Yeah, I don't think I can do the maths on this one. Hey Amy, you're a genius. Can you tell me if I have 1 ounce of part A and I need to have a 20-to-1 ratio, how much of part B do I need? If part A is the 20, part B is the 1. Stefan says, I believe Christian metal often has Christian motives as well. Indeed, I actually started a Christian heavy metal band when I was in high school. I was the vocalist, and I was pretty good at screaming about Jesus. And about how everyone should love Jesus. Not the best mesh when it comes to theme and aesthetic, but you know, people are passionate about it, so. Alright, Amy, where are you with these numbers? 0.05 ounces, That sounds right. I don't think my scale measures that. So let's see what happens when I add a itty bit. Because if that went to one more 5, then I would be there, right? Why is it not? It's not even registering this. This has got to be way too much. Okay. Well, it said 0.05 for a minute and then went away. So I'm just gonna say that's good. Good where it's at. Oh, Stefan corrected motifs, not motives. Yes, Christian motifs. That is true. There's a lot of Christian heavy metal bands that like to, that have a lot of themes of like the end times, you know, like, because there's so much scary metal imagery with, you know, giant locust with human heads and scary stingers and stuff. That's right. This is more of a hand kneading stuff than a stick kneading thing. There's a lot of them that like to sing about hell and how terrifying and awful hell is, which is funny because a lot of like ostensibly satanic heavy metal bands pretty much could have the same lyrics. It's just a different takeaway, I guess. Yeah, it's, you know, people are funny. I like people. I like people trying to figure out the world. It's all interesting. Stefan says ambient doesn't really have a lot of ways to convey motifs, I would guess. I would say, yeah, it depends. Like, for instance, a lot of ambient bands will incorporate elements from like Gregorian chant and stuff like that, but you know, that doesn't say much about a particular worldview these days. You know, 300 years ago it would have been very clear, but nowadays anyone and everyone will use Gregorian chant or other, you know, churchy music in their stuff, and it really doesn't mean anything. Alrighty, let's see how this works. Okay, so it says pot life is 3 minutes, cure time is 30 minutes. Okay, put this aside for 30 minutes and work on other things. Alright, so one other thing that I could figure out is how do I accurately mark this? Because the more I think about what I did, which is, you know, just sketch out the general shape it's going to be in, the less happy I am with that, because I want to actually be cutting a fairly precise edge around this, like inset a little ways. So I suppose one way I could do that is by setting it up a little bit and then just tilting my pen in. That's probably the best way to do it. Another way I can do it is to use something non-permanent to mark out this, that I can wipe off. You know, I could do the non-permanent thing, move this, do permanent inside of that. Maybe a dry erase marker could do that. I'm going to check real quick to see if I have a dry erase marker. Alright, that took longer than I hoped. But, here we go. Why do we have a dry erase marker when we don't have a dry erase board? I don't know, but we do. Demi says, it does sound quite contradictory, the metal Jesus thing, because of what most people think metal is. But as you said, some of the concepts definitely work for both styles bands. Yeah, I mean, this logo right here is from a band that I think would call themselves a Christian metal band called Demon Hunter, and they like take their visuals very well, it can't be literally because they don't actually take guns and shoot at creatures they call demons, but they take it as literally, their name as literally as you can. You know, they're hunting demons, as in like finding what is wrong and bad in their lives and trying to destroy that. And that resonates with me, regardless of where I am in my spiritual journey. I want to be a better person and destroy the things that are bad inside of me. But you can also just look at it and be like, oh, cool, it's something evil, you know. So yeah, works both ways. And now I'm seeing when I actually follow the edge of this, I got marker here in a bad place. But that shouldn't concern me because I've got centipedes to go wherever I want, to cover anything I want. Okay, so let's see. Does this dry erase marker wipe away? It does. Excellent. Okay. So, going to trace this. Try to keep it still. Amy says, luckily a lot of things are non-permanent on resin. Yep. Unluckily, this pen seems to be running out of steam. I'm not sure if I want to cut away this part of it or not. I think I probably do, actually. Because if this was a nice deep hole, I could have centipedes just crawling out of his forehead. Oh, that's so metal! That's happening. Centipedes out of the forehead, you guys. That's the best idea I've had all month. Amy said, first thing I thought of was, oh, like Athena and Zeus, but centipedes. Exactly. That little guy peeking out of the right side of the screen is so gross. He's keeping an eye on you. Yeah, isn't that the worst? Oh, yeah, I tried to find stuff that would be my worst nightmare of something crawling on me. And this guy takes the cake. Okay, has anyone seen the new Star Trek TV show? I heard that you can only watch the first episode, and then after that you have to pay for their streaming service. Is it CBS? One of those. And that just made me kind of upset. I was like, really? You're gonna hold a new Star Trek show hostage on your streaming service, you guys? So I guess I'm hoping that it's terrible so that I don't feel like I'm missing out. Alright, so. Oh, it's there. Okay, I could not find the. Let's try to remark this. Remarkable. Yeah, pretty much everything I draw on this resin stops drawing. And I do not know what I'm going to use to cut through this, because this is a solid, I don't know what, like 4 inches, and this resin that's in there is so deep and so hard. Wish me luck. I might take it over to my friend Pat's house and see if he's got a tool. Although he is on vacation in Iceland right now like a jerk. Alright, well, that's good enough for that. Now, I want to try to make centipede legs. Oh, that reminds me, I had black hot glue at some point. Do I still have that? Because that would be amazing. Yes! Black hot glue! Okay, can you remove hot glue from a glue gun? Google! Google, can you remove hot glue from a glue gun? Answers are pointing to 9. Does that mean I have to waste this whole stick of glue just to get black in there? Maybe as it heats up it'll let me? Amy says vacation in Iceland sounds really cool. From what I've seen, it looks really pretty. Yeah, it does. Cool literally and metaphorically, apparently. Yeah, it's probably actually quite cold there now, especially if you're getting up next to those waterfalls. Grr. Well, let's look at wires. What's a good centipede leg wire? Well, let's look at centipedes, shall we? Like I said, these are the creepiest. I probably want to do something like that. So they taper quite a bit. They get really thin. One thing I was thinking was if I take a fairly thin wire, such as this, if I actually stick it into the glue, like so, look at that, get a nice taper. The problem with that approach is I can't have it bent into the leg bendy shape. We'll have to see what it looks like when I bend it afterwards, but I think it'll be a little too, like, noodly if I do it that way. Skull. I'm gonna figure out how to say your name, Skull. Skolatoran. Skolatoran? Skolatoran. It's like those spiders in Zelda. Are they Skulltulas? Is that how you're supposed to pronounce it? However you're supposed to pronounce it, it's silly. I'm just gonna call you Skull. But hi, Skull. Amy says, I pulled out hot glue from a glue gun before, once it heats up. Okay, cool, I'll give that a try. Rasta says, respect to Iceland for putting these corrupt bankers behind bars. I wish the rest of the world had the balls to do the same thing. Yeah, that would be nice, huh? If, like, people who were total criminals were held accountable. Oh, look at that. Okay. Oh, interesting. Looks like it forms a plug in there. I hope I'm not making it so that I can't actually put anything back in because it's got gunk built up now. Guess we're about to find out. Okay, so it's basically got a chamber of hot glue in there. One thing, so I'm looking at my reference of sap, and hot glue is almost pretty much exactly that. I kind of don't want to use it as a main element because I'm just worried about heat. Although this is, I think, high temp stuff, so it'd have to get pretty darn hot for it to actually melt or distort or whatever. Oh yeah, look at that black. Let's see, you said it right. Skolatorn, or an. Skolatorn. I said both, so I don't know which is right. But I'm fine with just skull. That's what most people just say. Cool. Demi says, I've never seen black hot glue before. Only silly glitter ones. Should be so cool to use. Yeah. Yep, you can get them in all colors. Okay, so now got a nice taper there. It's nice and shiny black. What it does not have is nice segments to it. So that is my concern with this technique. I'm going to cool it with some upside down canned air. Okay, then I've got these, like, wire, I guess it's just literally a wire bender. Oh, that's not bad. looks like a pretty convincing bug leg. The only thing I'd like would be for this to be tapered even more. So I wonder if I can just kind of melt it like so. Kind of nice. So the other thing I was hoping to achieve, as you can see, they have these creepy little knee hairs. Amy says you could put in segments before it cools. There's a sweet spot in the temperature when you could do that. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Although I'm thinking this might actually work fine. Especially if I go in and add these little kisses of hairs here. Well, that is longer than I wanted. Let's try that again. Okay. Oh man, this is gonna work great for just gross little antennas and stuff. Man, I don't know, so it'll focus for a second and then go away. Okay, if my whole hand covers it, does it work? Oh, you can kind of get the idea. Those are still too long, but... Now, the philosophical question I have to ask myself is, am I going to do this on, you know, however many, like, look, this one centipede has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So, like, about 30 legs for one centipede, and I want to have, like, a bunch of centipedes. So, is this sustainable to do a bunch of centipedes? I think doing the little knobbies are good. And then I could save that, like, extendo thing for the antenna. That seems pretty cool. Okay. And I can make them quite a bit longer. And it could have more segments. Okay. So this is leggy number 1. Looks like that's as deep as I can get it into the barrel of the gun. Which, I mean, it's not the worst thing if the longest centipede leg is that long. Although, let's see. If I go from there, and then just manually add Alright, that's a pretty buff centipede leg there. Rasta says, have you guys heard of the horrifying, disgusting movie called Human Centipede? I have heard of it. I have heard enough to know that it's not something I care to watch. I did see the South Park version of it called the Human Cent iPad, where Apple was fooling people into becoming human centipedes by signing the little, thing that pops up at the bottom of your software agreement, because no one ever reads them. Let's see, so there's a little up and then like a side. Pretty gross. Yeah, so that solves my segment issue just by doing that, and then I can snip off the little hairs that grow out of it. See you, Stefan. Thanks for stopping by. Alright, I feel like it's been at least 30 minutes. Let's check out our mold. Alright, it's not greasy yet, so that's a good sign. So far, so good. Oh, Stefan says I'm still here. Amy's gone though. Oh, okay. Bye, Amy. Too late. You'll never know I wished you bye. I didn't even wish you a goodbye. What do you think of that? How rude. Okay, so ideally, when I put the stuff in here, I'll have all my legs and I could just stick them in while the material's soft. But I think for the purpose of a test, it's fine to just do a quick one, and I can glue the legs on the bottom for this one. Oh, I see. Amy left because Rasta asked about Human Centipede. Way to drive Amy away, Rasta. Okay, so that gets me basic shape. Then I need to pull it out. That's where it can get tricky. Hopefully I can get it out without wrecking all the detail I just molded onto it. Okay, that's going to be their problem is. So I'm going to need to put in some release agents such as Vaseline. I don't know why I forgot that. Probably because most press molds that I do, I put Sculpey in, and the Sculpey pulls out no problem. Which actually, Sculpey might not be a bad idea, because then I can pose it how I want it. Well, if I'm wanting it to like wind around parts of the thing, then I probably don't want Sculpey, because then baking that would be a pain. Although I could just do this for this guy. And then once that hardens up, you can pull it out and he'll at least have some bend to him. Alright, well I feel like probably the next step is to saw this thing, which is just going to be a lot of very loud machinery and cursing, and probably a bloody finger or two, so no need to demonstrate that part. We've been going for almost 2 hours, so good time to call it quits. Besides, it's my 12th wedding anniversary today, so I'm going to take my wife out, and we're going to help someone move for our 12th anniversary, which seems like the perfect 12th anniversary gift, don't you think? But that looks like it's falling through, so that's cool. Maybe we'll probably get something to eat and come home and watch Stranger Things, to be honest. That's what happens when you turn 12 anniversaries old. Anyway, good to see all you guys again. And Rasta is apologizing for driving away Amy. And he says, the song you're listening to right now reminds me of another song called Cold Earth by Boards of Canada. Yeah, I like Boards of Canada. I'll have to look into that. Stefan says, try to keep your amount of fingers constant. Yeah, that's a good tip generally. Demi says, enjoy your anniversary. I will try. Stefan says as well. So does Rasta. And yay for Stranger Things. Yes, we're watching it again because the new season's coming out soon. And it's awesome. It's just awesome. Like, I was exactly the age of those kids at the time, at 1983. So, very nostalgic for me, obviously. Okay, we'll see all you guys. That's how I say goodbye. See you guys.